Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage, and today I'm going to show you how you can make a battle report and capture your memories with just this. Now, my channel has been out for just over a year now, and to give you a baseline, I had zero experience last year. I had zero experience filming, and I had zero experience editing. So you can go back and watch some of those old videos to see how they were and where we are now. There's obviously been a progression in quality, but I started with absolutely no experience whatsoever, so this is something that can easily be picked up with a little help. As a quick note, what I will be doing will be on an iPhone, so if you're using something different such as a Samsung, or if you are recording on an actual camera and uploading that to a PC, I'm going to show you some editing software, but you would upload your clips to that versus using iMovie. I'll kind of show you both, but this will be a little more iPhone intensive because that's what I'm the most familiar with. Also, I'm not a professional and obviously not an expert in these fields. There's tons of other channels out there that will show you better editing techniques, and they will also be able to help you expand your knowledge and take that to the next level. Some people may look at this and say, gosh, that's really inefficient, but it works for me, and that's how I'm doing things at this point. All right, first we are going to talk equipment, and I am filming on an iPhone 11 Pro. That's what I've used for over a year now. I'm going to be showing you my iPhone 7 just for demonstration purposes, but really you can use any Samsung, Apple phone that has a pretty decent camera on it. The iPhone also has a pretty good speaker in it, so it captures pretty clear audio, but you can upload directly to YouTube. The big difference between the Apple phones and Samsung is an application called iMovie, which is very good for entry-level editing. And I'm going to show you how to do that and walk you through step by step how I do my initial cuts and edits of the video. And as time has went on, how I now move those over to a more robust editing software called DaVinci Resolve. Put in some graphics and things that are downloaded from various websites, also coupling it with some music and then uploading that to YouTube for people to enjoy. As time goes on, you may want to invest in some lighting, or I've seen a lot of channels use smoke machines that are really cool to really give that atmosphere on the tabletop. I'm still not to that level yet, so primarily I'm still just filming on my iPhone with the natural lighting that I have overhead, and it seems to do a pretty good job compensating for that. But eventually I do want to get a more professional setup that can provide more light and more shadows just to look a little more professional. All right, so you've got a phone that has a decent camera on it with a microphone, or you've got a decent camera and you're ready to film some battle reports. The first thing that we have to do is a little bit of prep work. And for me, that involves writing out a script or a pre-narrative of why these two armies are fighting. If it's bolt action or flames of war, maybe give some historical context of why these two armies are fighting. You can give an overview of the armies as well as the scenario that you're playing at that point in time. If it's something like Necromunda, then that's where I use this opportunity to drive the narrative forward and really kind of give you a feel for why these two gangs have met on the battlefield and what's potentially at stake. At this point, I like to show a panoramic shot of the battlefield where the two armies will be fighting. And when you're taking this shot, you want to be sure that you're moving around the table nice and slow. When you jerk the camera around and move between one shot and another, if you move up to look at someone and then shoot back down to the table, that jerky camera can make it a little rough for your viewers to watch, and it can also cause some lag on the camera. So whenever you're moving the camera around, take it nice and easy, nice and slow. Some people will use a gimbal. I just use my hands. It's also beneficial to put a few still pictures in there as well, because what these pictures do as it allows you to catch up on the video. So when you're taking a video, you've obviously got a finite amount of time to narrate over the top of that video. So taking a picture here and there will allow you to narrate over that, stretch that picture out a little bit, and kind of catch up. So now we're going to talk about the good stuff, which is filming. And again, I'm not a professional film person, but a lot of folks will use just one large clip or a few large clips where they just have a continuous camera, they catch everything, and they go back and they will cut and edit that footage up to make the final product what it is. I find it easier to film individual segments. So almost every move that you see is an individual clip. Every dice roll is almost an individual clip to go along with it, but I'm constantly just kind of camera in one hand and, rolling dice in the other, whatever it may be. But I will take short clips, and what iMovie does is it allows us to quickly take those clips in order and put them into a movie, and then allows us to start the initial editing process. So you take film or video, be sure that you take some still images in between, as that will allow you to, again, catch up if you get behind on narrating. And then we will put that all into iMovie and we start the editing process. A quick tip here when filming, be sure that you are talking over the moves, and I will explain that in a minute. One of the key things about making a good video is audio quality. That is why I go back after the fact and narrate, understanding it does take more time to do that. If you really want to make the best product, if you have a lot of background noise, especially if you're in a club or a crowded facility and there's people talking everywhere, it makes it very difficult for your audience to pay attention to what's going on. So I'm going to show you why that's important, but as you're making the moves, you want to be saying, hey, look, there's 7 dice hitting on 3s. Be sure that you're talking over the film so you can go back and look at that later in case you have a question about why you made that roll. Okay, I'm going to record my iPhone screen here and show you how to get clips into iMovie. So you can obviously see some projects that I am working on here, but we're going to click on that plus, click on Movie, and then you're going to see all of your clips. And we would take all the clips from our battle report, and I'm going to be editing this video that I am making right now for you. And I've taken some videos and some still shots, and we're just going to highlight those in order just by tapping on them. And then we create our movie, and they will go into what is called a timeline. And now we are going to skip back to the front of that timeline. Now, one thing I love about iMovie is it automatically adds transitions, and that's when that fade to black happens. That's automatically put in. But what you're going to start to do is start to initially trim the footage. So there's a point where I turn the camera on and I'll reach to turn it off in each clip. So I am going, just moving it around and clipping that out just by using my thumb to adjust that in, or you could stretch it out depending if you need to. So this is just called, trimming the footage. You would do this on your dice rolls. If there was something long taking place, you would just trim that out. You will be able to hear the audio playing as well, which we will show you how to delete in a minute, but I like to take a few clips at a time, trim them up, and then go back and narrate some audio over the top and continue throughout the movie. Using this technique is what allows me to take a 2-hour game and an hour's worth of footage and condense that down to a 20 to 30 minute battle report. Now that we have our clips trimmed, we're going to go back and add some audio over the top just for clarity. And the picture that you see here is exactly how I'm recording this right now, just with my iPhone on the table. And now we're going to go in and take a look at the audio piece. So bringing our iMovie back up, where you're going to select the clip that we want to remove the audio from, and we are going to narrate over the top of that. Make sure you have your scissors selected, and you're going to click on detach and then delete. So that will not actually delete the audio. As you'll see here, if you click on the little speaker down there, you will see that the audio is just muted. But yeah, detach, delete, very handy, very easy. That strips the audio out of the video and then allows you to narrate over the top of it. Click on the plus and then go to voice recording, and there you go. That will set you up exactly how I'm doing right now. So with your phone on the table, you hit record. You will record new audio over the top of that clip, and you'll be able to clearly explain what is happening on the table. Just remember, if you need to access your old audio, it will still be there. Now let's quickly talk about some other features in iMovie, such as transitions. You can see I've got a clip here. I immediately delete the audio out of it so that it's silent. You can highlight the video clip and click split. This will make it into 2 pieces, and then you can add a transition just by clicking on the little split there. And that transition is what's called a crossfade, but you can add a number of different types of transitions in there depending on what you're going for. You can also move clips around just by holding one down with your thumb and moving it to where you want it to go. And once again, it's good to incorporate some still images like I'm showing you now, as this allows you to catch up on your narration in case you've got a lot going on in a turn. You're not limited to the timing of just the video. In addition, you can add new clips to any timeline. You can also do green screen effects. You can add cutaways, picture in a picture, and picture in a picture I use pretty frequently just by clicking on those dots, and it'll add above the movie, and then you can see there you've got a picture within a picture, and you can just move that around on the screen wherever you want it to go. It is that easy. You can also add text. You can add in a title, or you could make it a lower third so it appears in the bottom left-hand corner. You would just click on your clip and then click on the text button. You could click on options after you select what kind of text you want. You could click on options. You could turn that into a lower third if you wanted. Type whatever you want that message to be, and that will pop up during your video. Okay, so now you've put your footage in, you've trimmed it up, you have added whatever audio you wanted, either from the video itself or you've narrated over the top. Now we want to export this into a movie, and we do that just by clicking on the export button. That will bring us up to the next screen. And when you export this video, you want to be sure that you can do it as a video or a project. The project is what you're seeing now. The video is more of a finalized product. Probably want to put it on 1080p. 4K takes up a lot of space, but be sure that you export it in the same frames that you recorded in. So be sure you check your camera if you recorded in 30 or 60 frames per second. That you will want to be sure that you export it the exact same way. And with that footage exported, you have now got a movie. And what I like to do is I now migrate this over to my PC for some final editing effects, the special effects. You can add background music into iMovie, but I tend to do that from DaVinci Resolve. And if you are a non-iPhone user, this is where you would pick things up, as you would be importing your clips into DaVinci Resolve or whatever editing product you use to do your initial edits as well as your final edits. Okay, so I now have DaVinci Resolve open, and one of the things that this did not capture is we want to go up to File and go to Project Settings, and be sure that you turn this on either 60 or 30 frames, whatever frames that you exported and you're currently using in your project. You want to be sure that this is on the same frames. If not, it can cause some issues. So the first thing that I do for all of my movies, and there will be a little bit of background noise in this audio due to my computer being on, but I do like to bring in my little intro that I've made. You can get one of these from various websites, but this one is mine. That's the first thing that I bring in, as that's how all of my videos will start. And after that plays through, you can go up to audio. You can tune that down a little bit if it feels a little too loud. So I'm going to minus that about 15 decibels and get that to sound appropriate and in line with where I like my audio to be. The next thing I am going to do is I am going to bring in the movie that I recently brought in to my PC from my iPhone. This is the iMovie that I exported. You can do transitions here with DaVinci Resolve. You can see me dragging that line right here. That kind of adds in a little transition. Your video will be at the top and your audio will be at the bottom. And you just looking through the timeline here, you can press Control B to split the footage. Similar to iMovie, this breaks it up into 2 clips. You can add in lower thirds just by dragging the lower third on, and then you can fill out whatever text you want that lower third to be. And then when you go back and play that footage, you will see that a lower third will appear on your video. Now, during this final editing process, this is where I like to bring in special effects and things like that. I grabbed these from productioncrate.com. These are muzzle flashes. So bringing them into the timeline, you can see how it looks there when you've got the timeline over that effect. And you can enlarge it here by clicking on the plus. This little box over here on the left will allow us to resize that image. And then you can also click on some of these dots here to rotate it, and I will make these come firing right out of my nostril. Kind of when you get it where you want it to be, you can just do a quick copy and paste. And remember, whatever you have on top of each clip is what will play. So I can move another one up top here and kind of position it to where it'll fire separately. And then when you go back and play that clip, you can add sound effects for this. I'm going to reposition this one so it comes out of both. And now when you play that through, I now have muzzle flashes coming out of my nostrils. Again, if you wanted sound effects to accompany this, you could simply pull in the sound effects and place those right here at the bottom. This is a track that I'm putting down there just for some background music that you will be hearing in this video. And this will not be in the final product. This is just something to show you of how this editing software works and how when you get your project or your clips into the editing software, how you put those special effects into place, how you put music into place. When everything is finalized, you would then go to the Deliver tab there at the bottom, and you could export this as a video type of your choice and upload that to whatever platform you wanted it to be on. And there's a lot more that you can do in this software. There's audio functions that you can use. There's a Fusion tab that you can use for creating your own special effects. It really is as in-depth as you would like an editing program to go. And like I said, this one is a free download. They do have a paid version, but you can get by with a lot of the free stuff very easily. So once again, if you downloaded your clips to your PC, or if you put it in iMovie and then moved it over, this is how you make some final edits, and this will make your final product when complete. All right, and with those final edits done, I like to kind of flip through the movie after it exports just to make sure everything is okay and where it needs to be, kind of spot checking everything. And normally that's when I notice a lot of the errors that I made in the game. And at that time, you're pretty helpless to go back and do anything about it. But that's when you prepare a thumbnail. You can use Canva to do that. Canva's very easy and self-explanatory, so no need to do a video on that. But following these tips, we've covered what you need to do for prep. The recording process is pretty self-explanatory. If you've got an iPhone, how to get that into iMovie, and then how to do your basic trims and edits. You can add music in iMovie. There's a lot of things that you can do that I just simply don't have time to show you. But then if you don't have an iPhone and you use a program such as Resolve or some other type of editing program, what you can do there as well is basically the same functions, just a little bit different. Will take a little bit of getting used to. If you have iMovie on a MacBook or something like that, it will be much more robust than the iPhone version. So that is something to keep in mind as well. So no matter what you do, just know that you can create these battle reports. It is super easy, and I hope this video might inspire you to do that and potentially put your videos out on YouTube as well. As always, I would like to say thank you so much for watching. If you liked this kind of video, be sure to leave a like below. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me in the comments. As you know, I've recently started a coffee supporters club for 2021. It is similar to Patreon, only it's not subscription based, just one-off. And I would like to say thank you to Evan W., Jamie and Jackson, as well as Fitz. You are now part of the 2021 Coffee Club. Certainly appreciate that. So any questions, feel free to let me know, and we will see you in the next battle report. Thanks so much.